whether I am happy or
it's more of a statement than a question. You know, it's because what determines whether something's happy or not.
well, it's never about something being happy. Sure, it's I am unhappy. So what determines when I'm unhappy? Well, I know it. I mean, I can sense it. You can sense the unhappiness.
Well, there has to be evaluation to decide whether something's happy or not.
No. There is an unhappiness happiness that is not at the mind level. So, like you live with somebody who is not very respectful. You live with them every day. They don't wash their dishes. They don't cook. They come home. They play loud music when you want to be quiet. And they tell them, please, can you lower the music? They refuse to, and they pick an argument with you. So it's not judgment. We know happiness inherently because we are happiness. You see. So since we are happiness. Anything that takes us away from happiness, we know it. We can sense it. We sense it even in our deep sleep. In our deep sleep. And what takes us away from happiness? That's a good question. What takes us away from happiness?
I know. I get what you're saying. I get it. And it's almost like playing with words, and it becomes. I guess the terminology of happiness that I'm using is it becomes unhappy if, for some reason, the self decides that you have to stay in that situation with that roommate.
With what? With?
It comes up if the self decides that it has to stay for some reason with that roommate.
With okay.
I paid the rent and I can't leave, or so you're creating some sort of boundary that keeps you in a situation, and then the unhappiness. I guess that's when it really becomes unhappiness. Otherwise, it's sort of like the way I see it is discomfort, and if there's pure borderlessness, you just move away from the discomfort.
Yes, right. It could be discomfort. Yes, and you can move away from it. I'm going to propose that unhappiness, and we can contemplate that unhappiness is a limitation, setting a limitation upon consciousness. Whenever there is a limitation that's set upon consciousness, meaning when consciousness is identified with a form, there is unhappiness.
Which is why in the beginning I was saying that unhappiness is dependent on the self and on judgment.
Yes, unhappiness is as soon as there is an identification as a me, identification with a body-mind, there is unhappiness.
Because I think it's only the self that keeps you in a situation.
What do you mean by self? When you say self, the me? You mean what do you mean when you say the self?
A finite self.
Because there is only one self, which is I. I am the self.
Yes, I mean like the illusionary finite self.
So when the self identify with the body-mind, then there is an impression that the self is a body-mind, is limited to a body-mind. So there is myself and yourself and herself, different consciousnesses. You see? So it's as if the self divides itself into multiple separate pieces that do not know each other. So that's where the illusion of separation arises. In that impression of separation, there is, because the self meaning consciousness, has identified with a body-mind, and since the body-mind is mortal, yes, then there is the impression that I, consciousness, I, the self, there's only one self, I am mortal. And now we have a problem. Because the self, meaning I, consciousness, doesn't like to be mortal. It's actually not mortal, but it's dreaming that there is a lion chasing it. And it's running to make it up to that tree before the lion, gets a grab of it. It doesn't like that. It likes to turn around to the lion and say, boo boo, and the lion comes and dissolves right in it. And it goes, hey, I am the lion. That's how consciousness loves to play with the lion. It is the lion. It is the boy. It is the tree. It is the woods. It is the ocean. It is all children, all boys, all girls, all lions, elephants, trees, birds, galaxies. That's how consciousness loves to play the game. I am. I am. That is the self. And yes, any identification, anytime I identify, whenever I say I mean I as consciousness. Whenever I identify, I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to get into a debate. I don't want to take it, and so.
It's an inquiry. It's not it's an inquiry.
I guess the part that I was struggling with is that consciousness. You're saying consciousness knows unhappiness, and I struggle with. I don't. In my mind, in my experience, it's not consciousness that knows unhappiness. It's the identified I.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Because you're right, consciousness is happiness. It doesn't know unhappiness. True. That's good. But consciousness doesn't like to stay too long away from home. Doesn't like the king doesn't like to wander in the streets as a pauper for too long. It's a real bummer for the king to be with a begging bowl in the slums of his kingdom.
The slums of identification.
The slums of identification. That should be a chapter in the book. The slums of identification.
Consciousness. No.